All right, welcome. We are live, and this is Growth Amplifiers. Thank you for a very special event that we'll be facilitating today. This is how to achieve peak performance through mental fitness, and we have some awesome coaches from around the country, actually around the world, who are going to be sharing their thoughts and insights to how you can really achieve mental fitness. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe at growthamplifiers.com. Now, what is the big idea that we're unpacking today? Well, number one, life is full of challenges, right? And it's also full of opportunities. Now, why does this matter? Well, to achieve peak performance and really recover from the challenges and seize the opportunities that surround us on a day-to-day basis, we need to have mental fitness. And the key to achieve this is to be proactive and also strengthen your mental fitness muscles. So if you're tuning in, here's some tips to amplify. Number one, share your comments. We'd love to hear from you, your thoughts, your feedback. If you have questions, please put that in the chat. If we get you on the live or in the replay, we'll try to go back and see the questions you have and answer them. And last but not least, you're encouraged to take action because it's not what you know, it's more importantly what you do and the results that you're getting for yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guests who are here joining me today. Oops, what did I do here? All right. So first, we're just going to do a quick self-introductions. We're going to take about 30 seconds just to do an introduction. We're going to start with Pam. If you would do a self-introduction.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me.
For being here.
Super excited to share anything and everything I know. So I have spent 20 years in corporate America, unfortunately proving, pleasing, and performing my way to success. And that manifested in me living out of integrity with who I was. Because when I left my corporate position probably 10 years ago, I had an identity crisis because my value and worth was tied into the title and the money that I made. So having gone on this personal and professional development journey and into coaching, what I've discovered is I help now leaders discover the value of who they are in order to then align what they do with who they are and really lead from a place of personal power with confidence, impact, and influence. So I do a lot of work with leaders in technology, in nonprofits, as well as the military, helping the Special Forces and Navy SEALs to transition into the next mission in life. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Pam. All right. So our next forum participant, Sandy.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you for having me here. My name is Sandy Casano, and I'm a human potential coach. I work with women of color, and in particular, women in the Asian community. And they're typically of creative backgrounds or startups, founders, and entrepreneurs. And quite honestly, they tend to be a little bit like me. So they'll be introverted, have an immigrant background, and are itching to do their next big thing. So I combine mental fitness and somatic intuition to help them find clarity and balance. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Jeannie.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Doherty. I'm a certified money coach and a mental fitness coach. And I help individuals, couples, and business owners get free of their subconscious money blocks so they can live the prosperous life they deserve. Along with PQ, I use a diagnostically driven process to help my clients map their way out of their predicaments.
Wonderful. And Elsa.
Yeah, thank you, Kenny and ladies, for me being part of your group here today. So what I do, I really help high achieving and creative entrepreneurs, break that self-sabotage that we all have talked about and be unstoppable. I know that Sandy was mentioning immigrants. I'm an immigrant myself, and how we get stuck in our old patterns and really that self-sabotage of getting forward. So that's what I really enjoy doing, helping my clients move through that. And as I said, to be unstoppable in whatever life looks like for them.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Now, the cool thing is everyone here is a PQ coach, positive intelligence coach. and we all have our different backgrounds, journeys, and unique gifts that we bring to the table. It's one of the cool things I like about the concept of growth amplifiers. It's the concept that everyone plays a different instrument, but together we can harmonize towards a common good. So we have 3 things that we're going to be talking about today, and we want to make sure that you're tuning in, you gain something of value for tuning in. So we're going to unpack this. We're going to have round robin discussions on this. We don't have a lot of time, so we're going to be on the high level, but we will make the best of it. So let's get started with the first of the big 3. So how can one achieve peak performance with mental fitness? We hear the word mental fitness. We're talking about peak performance, but how does it show up for you? If you could just raise your hand, we'll kind of do some round robin, paying attention and passing the mic to share your perspective on the matter. So how can one achieve peak performance via mental fitness? How does that show up for you? Who'd like to get us kicked off?
I would love to get us kicked off. I found for myself, and I see this so often in my clients, especially high achievers, that they say, oh, well, peak performance, I am at peak performance. But peak performance is not necessarily just doing a whole bunch of things. It's also doing the right things that actually is going to get you where you want to go. And I think one of the main things in mental fitness is really sort of taking that step back and saying, what is it really that I personally focus on? Where can I be most effective? And how can I truly achieve the results and the outcomes that I desire in order for my life to be the way that I want it? And Pam mentioned about that self-worth piece. Once you really realize that, then you're doing it to propel yourself into that peak performance, not depending on what other people think of you.
So who would like to weigh in on that with their own perspective? Who else would like to?
I would love to, Kenny, if I can just piggyback on what Elsa was saying. So much in agreement. And I, with my clients, and what you were saying, Elsa, is that syndrome of I'll be happy when. And we are conditioned to live these lives where we're like, I'll be happy when I, from a very early age, when I get, into college, when I get that first job, when I meet that person, when I buy my house, when I retire, all these chasing mentalities. And it brings us into a space of scarcity where we're constantly thinking and suspending our current moment and our ability to be happy now by, as you say, attaching our self-worth to our outcomes and thinking I'll be happy when. And so I think one of the powerful aspects of being able to strengthen your mental fitness is being able to tune in and appreciate where you are in this current moment and understand that you are whole and capable without having to be measured by the outcomes.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that, Sandy, as well. As what I like about what you said, and actually maybe don't like, quite frankly, is and what I did is chasing the what ifs, the whens. And truth be told, chasing the title and the money for so long, I had that mentality of I will be happy when. And all of a sudden, it's not just me, it's most clients that I work with is they get that title, they get that promotion, they get that money, and they go, this is it. And one of the things that I never would have thought in a million years when I was running in that corporate rat race was I was always hyperachievers, my top. So it was chasing, and no time to slow down. The beauty of what the PQ does is helps us ground in the moment, to shift our thinking. And this is one of the greatest values that I share with my clients is slow down in order to move faster in the right direction. And if we are moving fast and furious in those hyperachievers, next, we're not able to tap into what PQ has taught us. Now I have words for it, sage, our wisdom and our internal wisdom. So it's slowing down to look at the opportunities that are right in front of us and the beauty and the gift in what we have here, that it's not tomorrow, 10 years from now, 5 years from now. It's right here. That is the beauty of PQ and being able to really harness the value. of slowing down to appreciate.
I love that thought. It's so easy to do. And you know what? I'm an amplifier. I'm a positive guy. And through my career, I thought like I just have this positive rock solid mindset. I used to have low self-esteem growing up, and I've resolved myself from that. What I didn't realize is when I took a hit and had a setback due to some unforeseen circumstances, how that rattled me. And that was a few years ago. And luckily, I found a guide to help me get a different perspective. And even after that, going through this program helped me really transform to a completely different mindset. It's just so empowering. So we're going to move to the second question here, and I'm going to shift to have Jeannie lead us. And now we're talking about what are some techniques to improve your results and strengthen your habits. It's one thing to know, but we also want to have some things that we can actually do that can help us move along and develop and grow. So Jeannie, if you can get us kicked off with this topic.
Yeah, I was about to say on the last topic that one of the things that seems to be a pretty common block with ourselves is that we're too competitive with others. And this happens definitely when it comes to our money story. So what I try to encourage, besides staying present instead of just, trying to navigate those moments, which is awesome for PQ, is how the heck do you handle these conversations when it comes to your finances, whether it's personal or professional? I don't know anybody who's had any type of training or they learned it in their family on how to have safe and effective conversations about money, meaning what do we do for short-term goals and what do we do for long-term goals? So what I find that PQ helps in terms of just the sage powers, that it helps you learn to toggle between the immediate short-term goals, or there's a crisis, how do we pay these bills? What are we going to do next? How do we plan for college, our retirement, etc., medical crises, you name it. So that's what I love about it, is that it allows you to move from the present moment to address the short-term goals, the crises, as well as the long-term goals.
I like it. It's a balance thing. And I'll say, if you wouldn't mind, we're throwing the terms around the sage. People are hearing that. They're probably hearing it as they're tuning in and saying, what does the sage keep on popping up? So if you would kind of share with those tuning in kind of the concept of what this sage is all about. Hey there, this is Kenny from Growth Amplifiers, here to ensure you get your awesome ideas into action to grow and improve your business and achieve your full potential. Take the first step by visiting growthamplifiers.com and clicking the Start Here button. Take the assessment to get your personalized score. Then select from free resources to learn how to improve your score. Don't wait. Be proactive and take action now by visiting growthamplifiers.com and clicking the Start Here button. And always keep on amplifying. Now, let's get back to the show. Elsa?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the sage is about really tapping into your innate wisdom, the part of you that are able to look at things from a perspective of really what is going to serve me and my circumstances best in this moment, without the fears, without the external factors, and solve the problems from a more exciting place, like with innovation, with curiosity, with compassion and empathy. Just going into the situation and see what is the gift and opportunity in what I'm faced with right here in the moment. You were mentioning before outside circumstances which sort of knocked you down. Is like, what happens in this situation? What can I truly take from this situation and carry with me forward without beating myself up? And when we lean into that these things don't happen in order to pull me down. They happen to me because there's just some circumstances that I have no control over. But how can I make it the best possible outcome out of this? Like I said, a situation is neither good nor bad. It is whatever you focus on in that situation and how that's going to move you forward.
So speaking of that, Sandy, what is a technique that someone might be able to implement that can help them kind of flip that switch. We have life happening to us. If you're an entrepreneur or you're a professional, or you're just in your life, you're gonna have highs and lows, ups and downs, and be rumbling in the punches. What's a technique that you could put into action that might help you see things with that fresh perspective and really step into your true greatness?
Absolutely, Kenny. Would love to address that. So, as Elsa was saying, just another way to look at sage and saboteur is just kind of, for me, what helped me is just understanding how our brain works, right? So, in the simplest of sense, for those watching right now, what we can say is that saboteur is kind of your survival brain. It's what you've created from a very early age to protect yourself, but it is very fear-based and it's very triggered. So sage kind of brings us to that part of the brain, our prefrontal cortex, the front of our brain, that it has the capacity to problem solve, be creative, think logically, and just all the things that you want to do that we typically can't do because we're trying to, we're stuck in our survival brain, our saboteur brain. So one of the ways that you can do is something what we call PQ reps. And it is literally focused attention on a physical sensation for 10 seconds. And you do it for a stream of at least 2 minutes long. So as you can see, all of us are kind of known to do something similar to just rubbing two fingers together so intently that you can feel the fingertip ridges. And what that is doing is that will take you out of your thinking brain and just really kind of bring you back into your body, and allow the constant whirling of thoughts to slow down and just focus on that. And, you know, it gets easier and easier with time. And sometimes your mind will drift, and that's totally normal, but you want to just kind of bring it back to your sensation, whether it's touch or your breath is also a very strong one. If just the sensation of your breath entering in and out of your body can be something that can really anchor you in a time when you're feeling hijacked.
Wonderful. I mean, it's really easy to do. And as you're tuning in, I want you to think for a moment. Have you ever had your mind start putting doubts in your head, or maybe just distracting with too many different things? This is a way to kind of get centered, get focused, and really step into that true greatness. And Pam, I'm going to come to you in just a moment. I just want to ask people who are tuned in, if you have questions, definitely chat them into the comments. We'd love to hear any questions you have. Even if we aren't able to answer all of them right now, we'd love to see things that you have questions about. So this looks like Leslie said it was a great description. Thank you, Sandy. And we're going to move to the third topic, and we're just going to share just a couple of inspirational stories that you've experienced as you're working with people through this work of how they've benefited from elevating their mental fitness, what you've seen, the transformation that you've seen when you're working with others, how they've been able to elevate. So like I mentioned, Pam, we'll get you starting us off in this round, and we'll go from there.
Yes, it's a very recent experience. I onboarded a client here just about a month ago, and strengths, I do a lot of strength coaching. So it's the way we naturally think, feel, and behave. So I had 2 sessions into it. And what I like to do with a client is saying, okay, think of one of the greatest successes that you've had in your career. Okay. One of those, yes, on top of the world moments. So that way we can identify how each of those strengths have showed up. Well, what was happening is one of her greatest successes, I had a client that had experienced a professional traumatic experience. She got let go from a company. It derailed her self-confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem, and was constantly rehearsing that particular event. So what happens when we rehearse those events, we start making those neural pathways stronger and stronger. And what I like to call it now is that slide, that negative slippery slide that we slide down, or slope. We all have it. We've all had triggering events. So instead, we stopped her in her tracks and says, okay, clearly we need to make sure that you're going through the mental fitness before we go any further. Because what was happening is that traumatic event hijacked her mind, not just for that particular time, but for like days and weeks and months at a time.
So what happened? Like, what was the breakthrough?
So the breakthrough with the mental fitness is 1 week into it, and where she was able to get unstuck and move forward because of recognizing the judge that was there, understanding how prevalent it was, and as I would say, the judge was driving the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to, and this is the very first thing that we learn, is putting those two fingers together. It helped her to focus her energy and her self-command in her mind, so that way taking that thought captive within 10 seconds and righting the ship so she could take forward motion. It was beautiful.
It's a great story, because think about it. Have you ever went through a situation yourself where maybe you had a sleepless night, kind of rehearsing something that happened in the past or fearing something that was going to happen in the future? We've probably all been there at one point in time in our lives, and it's no fun. But to gain that self-command, really powerful to get out of that. Jeannie, so passing the mic to you, and if you could do the same, kind of share a story of transformation that you've experienced with someone you've worked with.
Yes. So I was working with a single mom, and they were having a hard time figuring out what to do for the holidays in terms of their money and their finances. They also had some pretty tough conversations coming up. And so what I encourage them to do is, begin the PQs, as we talk about, like rubbing, our fingers together. And then I just ask them, instead of going back to, the past failures, it's just simply focus on that. I think I can do this. I'm just going to breathe. I'm going to just know that I can. And sure enough, what happened is that, we were able to completely get them moved in a situation that not only do they have the tools, they have the skills, and they can do this, but their confidence increased. And then they were able to have a pretty serious money conversation with a family member. And what do you know? By the end of the week, all the bills were paid, everything was taken care of, crisis averted, and additional money came in.
So how often does that happen too, right? We have procrastination with something that we know we should be doing, but for whatever reason, maybe it's fear, maybe it's just out of sight, out of mind, but we're not addressing something that if we don't address, it would only become a bigger problem. But by getting better mental fitness, you can really tackle that. Awesome, Jeannie. Elsa, would you care to share a story of transformation?
Oh, yes. So one of the things that we learn here is also in the personal development, a lot of people hear about doing the inner child work, and a lot about what the inner child needed from us, and to sort of cut off or deal with past traumas. In the PQ version, it is more about, what is the richness that this child can teach us, and how can we look at that child and truly connect with ourselves. And I recently had a client go through that particular part of the PQ program and truly connecting with the innocence and the pure essence and the beauty there is in yourself as a child. And he was like, all of a sudden, a lot of past traumas from childhood was like, he took a totally different perspective to this, and now celebrated that playfulness, that excitement that you have as a child, and brought that into his work now. And it was literally, for him, it was like a 180, and saying, how exciting and how much fun can I have in my job every day without constantly worrying about that I was going to get in trouble. And it was just such a beautiful thing to see in this grown man, highly successful, of sort of giving himself the freedom. It was just, to me, it was just such a beautiful thing. And that we were talking about the identity before, and just giving himself, saying, like, I'm a beautiful human being, and I get to play every day when I go to work, and it's awesome.
Perspective is everything, right?
Right. Oh, I got a similar comment here online. Perspective is the key. It's right, and that's the thing. We could get so caught up in the what's going on here. We can get so caught up in the day to day. We can lose perspective. We just get everything's so close, just seems so big, problems seem so big. And we just need to remember to take this step back and just remember who's in control. How can we take the right actions? So Sandy, I'd love to hear a story from you. Story of transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try and share two quick stories because I think they're significant. So one client in her 70s, so you're never too old and you're never, age is not a thing, used PQ. She has a strong controller tendency. And by becoming aware of how her controlling tendencies affected others in a relationship, she was able to really impact her relationship with her husband. And I think we continue to joke about it that her husband is the one who really wins out in this because he's just so happy of her transformation and how it's impacted their relationship. And the other story I have is of a younger woman who just got into Harvard grad school and intentionally did this PQ work with me before she started her cohort. And for her aha moment was when she was in class and she raised her hand at a time when she said she would normally not do and ask a question, showing her vulnerability that she didn't know the answer and needed help. And this is someone with a very high achiever. Pam, as you were saying, that's one of the avatars that show up. So high achiever. And for her, she didn't know the answer. She was vulnerable to share it. And she said that she was able to show up in ways during this grad course that she never has been able to prior. And for her, that has just expedited and accelerated her learning because she's been able to really control all the things that normally would prevent her from actually being her true self and really absorbing, because she'd be so worried about what other people were thinking. So those are the two stories that I wanted to share.
Thank you, Sandy. So I'll share a quick story. I was working with a successful CPA, and he already has a great business, but he was having some trouble with taking some of the new actions that would help him grow his business. He had some mind blocks of how, sharing some of the value that he could provide he didn't want to come across being salesy, and he felt a little overwhelmed with all the different things that he had to do in his business. So just by taking some time to get focused, it strengthened his resolve. He shifted his perspective and stood in the mindset of he is there to help his clients. He was looking at it with the wrong framing. So by taking that time to have inner perspective, it shifted what was possible for him in his business. So we do have a question coming in here, and this is actually a good segue. This is Deborah Lewis, curious to know who is the personal coach for each of the panelists. So I guess she's asking, who is your personal coach? Do you have a personal coach? And I know we're at least all part of the Positive Intelligence coaching system. Just curious, show of hands, if you have a personal coach yourself. You're part of it. So, right. So I will share the information of our panelists again. I encourage you, if you've connected with someone, reach out to these people. They're on LinkedIn. They do some great work. Everyone has their unique gift that they bring to the show. And it's something where, when you're connecting with other people and getting their perspective, it can help change what's possible for you. So if it's not something that you're necessarily needing, maybe somebody that could use a little help with some of these areas, whether it's somebody with their money, right? We have a money coach here, or maybe it's a woman of color that is having trouble connecting and getting that message out. So consider just sharing this. Any likes or thumbs up or good signs are appreciated well, but consider sharing this recording with others too, because by sharing the message, you'll help people share their perspective. Oops, I did have one other thing I was going to share. What had the screen up? So just, I do have a webinar if you're an entrepreneur who's looking to strengthen your mental muscles. We've got a webinar that I recorded on the topic. You could check that out at bit.ly/mentalfitness2022. And with that being said, one of the traditions we have with Growth Amplifiers is just sharing something that you've gained on your journey that can help others on their journey. It doesn't have to be related to mental fitness, just something that you'd like to share. We want to keep it relatively succinct within a 30-second window, and we'll pass the mic once more around. We're going to go with Pam and then move forward. Thank you.
You said, Kenny, something that we can leave with
something that something you've gained on your personal journey. that you could share with others? It doesn't necessarily have to be related. It could be, but just
it is
something we can share.
related, and it's interesting because the PQ gives different language, but two things that continue to resonate, not only with me, and that's why I share it with my clients as well. One is allow peace to be your GPS. So we talked about SAGE. That's our inner wisdom. When you feel peace inside, when you make a decision, that's the way to go. So peace is your GPS. And secondly is replace judgment, which is something that I had a tremendous amount in my life. Replace judgment with curiosity, because judgment makes us go resist. Curiosity brings us in. Those two are life-changing in themselves.
Love it. Awesome. Jeannie.
I was going to say that your money problems are the easiest things to fix. I know that sounds like that's not truth, but it is. But once you have fixed them, you will have increased confidence and clarity, and you will be able to share your money wisdom with somebody else who really needs to hear it.
Wonderful. Elsa.
I would say the most important thing for me is realize it's never about me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. When you're in situations that's really tough or confrontations, it's the other person's story is their story, and they're coming from that perspective. So never, as difficult it can be, never take it personally. Just stay in the discussion and figure out what's going on.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And Sandy.
Yes. Change your 2 to a 4. So what does that mean? When life happens to you, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Say, why is this happening for me? And see what changes for you.
Beautiful. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you caught this on the replay, definitely feel free to put in your comments, continue to share, continue to put the thumbs up and the likes. We want to make sure that we're spreading out this message. Everyone has the opportunity to amplify. Everyone has the opportunity to grow. And it all takes new actions. Sorry. It takes new thoughts to take new actions, and new actions lead to new results. So we have some thank you, beautiful words, all of you. Thank you, Annie. Good to see that you were able to tune in. And Deborah, great forum. All right. Is PQ more about counseling or coaching? It's in general is a quick answer. It's life, right? It is a framework.
It's perspective. Yeah.
It's a framework for life. And here you see, 5 different people who have, unique gifts, unique people, unique value that they bring to the table. And they're all using that one framework to help people out with the value that they provide and also other areas of their life. It's really powerful stuff. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to Growth Amplifiers, growthamplifiers.com. We are going to be celebrating our podcast here at PodFest 2022, which is going to be in Orlando, Florida. I think May 20, I'm going to get the dates wrong, 26th through 29th, I believe. I could be wrong. So look it up, PodFest online. I'm going to be speaking at that event. Thank you, Leslie, for tuning in. Thank you for sharing, everyone. I appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been real. We got Tanya. Thank you. This was so helpful. Definitely, this is really great stuff. We've all either read or listened to the audiobook. There is a program. Again, I suggest to connect with people who are in this forum. Connect with people. Get involved with that practice. It's transformational. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.